Good afternoon. My name is Patrick, and I wanted to take the opportunity to share my story. I've been dealing with Centerpoint Electric for the last 30 months trying to get a meter installed on a house that I've been building. I started building the house in 2018, shortly after Hurricane Harvey hit. And thankfully, at this point in time, I am like 85 to 90% done with the house. One of the difficulties right now is getting a meter installed on my meter box so I can turn the power on in the house. This is where I will begin my story. Back on July the 1st, I requested a meter for my meter box for the house. And Centerpoint came out and they red tagged the meter, I believe it was on July 2nd, saying that they needed to run power lines and install an additional pole, possibly upgrade a transformer that was across the street from my property. They also said that because I already have an existing service on the property to my old house, that I would have to pay an extra for the additional service. I did not dispute that at the time because I didn't know. I mean, I'm a novice in all this. I figured, okay, what they're saying is true. You know, plus the fact that I own the entire property. It's one whole property where both houses are at, the old one and the new one. So I inadvertently told them that. And I think if I hadn't, maybe things would have been different. So basically, they were going to send somebody out, and they did. A lady came by a week later and looked at the property, marked with stakes where they were going to put poles, what they were going to do, and said, okay, we're going to take this back to one of the coordinators, and he'll get back to you to let you know what's going to happen. I got, the following week, I believe on Monday, I got a phone call from a John Salinas, who is one of the service coordinators. He said he was going to refer my request to one of their consultants, and that I needed to fill out a form online, called an ESR, electric service request, so that I could get the ball rolling and get the project underway. And he said that he concurred with the lady had told me on the appointment that there was a 6-week delay in getting the meter installed and getting the construction work done. So I went ahead and I filed that form on July 12th online. On that form, I put in all the pertinent information that was required, and I also selected an installment date or installation date, which was one of the required modules that I needed to complete on that form. I obviously specified the 23rd of August, which was the earliest available date. I submitted the form, and then I think 2 days later, I got an email from Miss Casey Mitchell. She wanted to come out and see the property again, which I found kind of weird that they would send her, but I thought would be a standard procedure. She set up an appointment for that following Wednesday, came out, and was basically unaware that the other rep had been out like 2 weeks before. She saw the stakes and everything. She said, well, okay, they've got something going on. Let me see what they're doing. We're going to go off of that, because if I start something now, you're going to be more behind. And I said, please do. The faster we get the ball rolling on this, the better, because I want to get this thing done and over with. I've got pending obligations with the house that I've got to do, but I can't do them until the power's turned on. That was the first time that I made them aware of that situation. So she left after seeing the property, and I didn't hear anything back until a few days later, I believe it was, and they contacted me or emailed me with the contracts to sign, and I ended up signing those contracts digitally and getting them back to them on the 21st, I believe, of July. They asked me to, they sent me an invoice and asked me to pay up front the amount for the construction, which was pretty hefty. It was like about $1,300. And I sent the check via FedEx. They got it by Friday, July 25th, because I sent it the day before, FedEx overnight. And it wasn't until the following week on Thursday, I think it was the 25th, or the 30th, I think it was, I don't remember the date, that they contacted me that there was a typo on the check, that I had actually put $2 more. Well, I told him, I said, okay, you can keep the $2. I mean, I don't mind paying $2 more. I don't want to delay this any further than it already is. Well, Miss Mitchell said, we have to have the correct amount for bookkeeping purposes, so can you please send us another check? I told her, I'll do you one better, because I want this thing to get done quickly. I am going to personally go out there right now and take you a check. So I rushed out from where my job is and went all the way out to their service center in Rocheron in Brazoria County, and I give them a new check. I said, okay, this should get everything in order, get the ball rolling. I want to get this thing done and over with. And she said, that's fine. She goes, you've already signed the contract. So it's just a matter of submitting it now and getting it on the schedule. I was like, okay, not a problem. Waited, monitored my bank account because I wanted to make sure the check went through. And I waited, days went by, and it wasn't until Friday, August 6th, that it went through to my account. It cleared. When I looked at the canceled check, it had been deposited the day before. So they basically took a week and a half to cash the check. I'm like, okay, no big deal. I'm gonna wait until the 23rd, and I'm gonna see, basically where they stand. Maybe it'll be installed by the 23rd. Maybe the 24th or 25th. So I waited. I was patient. August 23rd came, nothing happened. 24th, nothing happened. I would think it was on the 25th that I finally emailed Miss Mitchell. Did not get any response. Emailed her again at the end of the day on that same day, because I emailed her first thing in the morning. Emailed her in the afternoon, didn't hear anything. Around 4:30, I called in the afternoon, I believe it was. I called, went straight to voicemail, left a message, nothing. Following morning, I called again, voicemail. I sent her another email. And it wasn't until around noon, I think it was, or 1 o'clock, she called me back. And she says, well, you're looking at 7 weeks, and you're in the 4th or 5th week because the clock didn't start rolling until after the check cleared. I told her, I said, well, that's not what we agreed to. That's not what we discussed. I said, you were going to get the ball rolling the day that I dropped off the check. I said that was way before before when the check was cleared. And she goes, well, Centerpoint does not work that way. We can't process the request until the check is cleared. I said, well, you should have told me that to begin with. I said, I'm over here running around expediting stuff, getting you your stuff quickly because I don't want this to fall any further behind. She goes, well, you're going to have to wait the 7 weeks. I said, okay. She goes, you're in the 4th to 5th week, so give it 2 more weeks, and then if you don't see anything, you can contact us. I was reluctant at this point. I said, okay, no problem. I waited the 2.5 weeks, and nothing happened. I tried to contact them. It was the same hullabaloo as before. Couldn't get through. No response to emails, yada, yada. Finally got them to contact me back, and she said, obviously by this time, we were already in the middle of September, we had already experienced the 2 hurricanes that had hit the Gulf Coast. Ida that hit into Louisiana, and Nicholas, which ran up the Texas coast. As y'all probably were aware on the news, Centerpoint sent out crews to Louisiana to try to get power turned back on in Louisiana, Mississippi. Then they came back and they had to deal with everything from Nicholas. So when those 2 storms hit, my first concern was this is going to backlog them more and it's going to set me back. So I waited purposely until there was a technical all clear with the power outages. They had gotten 98 or 99% of their customers' power back on. So I waited until then, which was I think 3 days after the storm hit, 4 days, and I tried to contact them again. And the same scenario. It took forever to get somebody to call me back. When they did, Miss Mitchell called me and said, well, you need to wait. Can you wait and call me back on October 1st? Because the crew has your order, but I can't get a date from them because they're so far behind. from the storms. I said, you're looking probably at 3 more weeks anyway. And I said, well, look, I need an install date. I need to get this thing done. I said, I've been asking for an install date for months now, for a month and a half, 2 months, and I can't even get that. So basically, she's like, well, just do me a favor. She goes, call me back on October 1st, and I will have that for you. I'll know more then. I was irate. I was upset at the time. I admit it. I was pissed. Pardon me for saying that, but I mean, just to have them give me this runaround and tell me that, okay, you got to wait, just to see when they can schedule you, because they couldn't give me an install date. So I had to really, calm down and basically be patient. Well, I decided to go on Twitter, and I was looking at Centerpoint's Twitter alerts just to see, what the process was, because I've been monitoring them once Nicholas hit, because I wanted to see, just when they were going to be able to finish with getting all the power restored, here on the Texas coast. I was astonished to see there was multiple tweets, from people in my own county, in Brazoria County, saying, the power's not turned on. The power's not turned on. Why is Brazoria County always the last? That fueled me even more. And I had to stop and, think for a minute. I was like, okay, I know how these people feel. So I sat down, I replied with a tweet, and I said, okay, I understand your concern. I have been waiting on a meter service request for over a month and a half. Nothing's been done. I said, obviously, the service center in Brazoria County is slow. As slow as molasses, I told him. I said, so be patient. It may be this week, and maybe sometime during next week you'll get your power. But just be patient. I figured, okay, if I can encourage somebody else, I can encourage myself. So I did that. Well, I got a response back via Twitter as well, and they're like, well, we're sorry this time. We're going to try to get you at least the install date. Well, honestly, in my opinion, the Twitter rep, was worse than the office, the service center office. Because with the Twitter representative, I was waiting, and it was one response a day. And there was days that they didn't even respond, to be honest. So I was negotiating with Centerpoint on Twitter and via email and phone, trying to get some response. So I waited till October 1st. I tried to recontact Miss Mitchell. Still haven't been able to get a hold of her. It's October 4th. Left messages both to her extension, to the coordinator's office, the main number in Brazoria County, and I even contacted the main number at for Centerpoint customer service, and their customer service sent me to a supervisor who's a supervisor for another division of Centerpoint on the same side of town, and he's like, well, he was on vacation, out of the country. He told me, dude, I don't know why they had you call me. I'm out of the country, and that's not even my department. I had to apologize repeatedly. I say, well, I'm sorry, I did not know that. Well, to bring this to a close, I got a call from John Salinas, the guy who initially started me on my way to getting the meter, and he was astonished that I was still waiting for it. He's like, well, let me see what's going on. Let me open your file. Let me see what I can do. And he's like, well, oh, God. He's like, they're so backlogged right now. He goes, you're looking at probably toward the end of October before we can even get to you. I told him, I said, that's unacceptable. I said, I'm already been into this thing since July the 2nd. I said, the contract was signed 3 weeks into July. Check was issued that same time. And we're already crossing the beginning of October, and I got to wait for the entire month. I said, that's not fair. It's not acceptable. It's not fair. I don't understand why And he's like, well, he goes, the only thing I can tell you is the storms. Whenever the storms hit, we drop everything and we pick back up. We're always going to be behind. I told him, I said, I understand that. I said, but I said, you guys have to understand one thing. I said, this area is very prone to storms. That's why we have a hurricane season. It's very prone to storms, and you should have a contingency so that when a storm hits, you can have crews to restore power, but you don't compromise your current workload and fall further behind. I said, obviously, from what I'm seeing, that is not happening. He goes, yeah. He goes, we're trying to work that out. I said, well, it should have been worked out a long time ago. I said, and now as a result, you got customers waiting for upwards of I want to say upwards of months for a simple service request, for a simple meter and pole in my case, and that can't get done in a timely manner. I said, that's ridiculous. He's like, dude, he goes, I'm gonna give you my personal number. Call me on October 15th, and I will make sure that your installation gets done within those last 2 weeks of October. I said, well, I said, okay, give me your number. I said, I'm not happy about this, but I mean, what choice do I have? I said, I can't go to another company because you guys have a dang monopoly on the area. I said, there's only two companies that service the Texas area, and Centerpoint is one of the major ones. The other one's Texas, New Mexico, but this area is outside of their jurisdiction. They can't do anything. I said, so, I mean, and if I could, I would install the dang thing myself. I said, because I'm tired of waiting. He's like, no. He goes, you don't have to go through that. He goes, let me see what I can do. Call me back on October 15th. He thought, all I'm asking you is to give me to October 15th. I said, well, I've already given you guys to October 1st. Why do I need to give you till the 15th? And he kept pushing the 15th, and I was like, okay, you have until the 15th, but something better be done. And I said goodbye. I also told him that in my frustration on Friday, when I could not get a hold of Ms. Mitchell, I filed a complaint with the Public Utility Commission in Austin. And I felt I had no other choice. You guys are not doing anything. I mean, I've been in a holding pattern for so long, and it is not acceptable. And he's like, no, you have all your just cause to do that. I fired off a letter to Centerpoint Corporate. I'm waiting on a response for that. I don't know what they're going to say. Explaining the situation and telling them that their service in Brazoria County is derogatory. At best, it's derogatory. Because, I mean, you cannot have a customer waiting 3 months for a meter and pole. My God, people. My God. I mean, there's no semblance. I mean, it's irresponsible. You know? Especially, as I said before, you're in an area that is prone to storms. You have to have a contingency. And it's not there. It doesn't appear that it was ever there. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know what to make of it. Well, long story short, I got an a private tweet from Centerpoint on Twitter. They're saying by the 29th of this month. Basically saying the same thing John Salinas told me. Only they gave me an actual date that it's going to be done by. I told them, I said, okay, I'm not pleased with that, and I do not find that much more of a delay acceptable. Didn't get an answer back because, as I said, they only tweet a response once a frickin' day. So I'm basically forced to wait. For how long, I don't know. My objective was to get the house done to the point where we could probably move in partially by Thanksgiving. That was my goal. That goal is shot out the window. Why? Because of Centerpoint. Because by the time they get the meter in and I get the power turned on, I still have to track down my AC guy, see if he's not too busy to get the AC installed, and then get together with my electrician friend and see if he's available to come and run the final circuit for the septic tank to get the septic tank functional, because I was told that that septic system, unless you turn on that, you power up that there's a I don't know how to describe it. It's some sort of a filtration mechanism or something like that. That has to be running at all times when the septic system is functional. Otherwise, you can't run the system without it. So until I can get that circuit installed, I can't do anything. And then the third thing on that is that I still don't have my water well circuit run to the old breaker box on the old house. I can't move that until the power's turned on at the new house. And me and my electrician friend are going to have to do that eventually. And I can't get him to come out until the power's turned on, because if he's going to come out to do one thing, I mean, why am I going to make him come out to do one thing and then have to go and then come back to do the second thing? I mean, I have to wait until everything falls into place to bring these guys out. All right. And still, also, I'm doing the flooring right now, and I think from what I understand from my family, 2 of the rooms are going to have flooring that has to be acclimated to the temperature of the house, and I can't acclimate it until the AC is on. So all these things are at a standstill until I can get the power turned on. So, and by the time it gets turned on, I mean, there's no way in 3-4 weeks that I'm going to get all that. I don't think I can get all that done to be able to say, okay, we're going to move in and we're going to have Thanksgiving in the new house. That's out the window, unfortunately. And I only have Centerpoint Energy to blame for that. Because if they would have gotten their crap right a long time ago, I mean, I'd probably right now, I would be already finished with the interior to the point where we could start moving in some furniture. But unfortunately, that ain't happening. Well, I've shared you my story, and I hope that maybe some good will come out of this in one way or another. And I'm open to any ideas or suggestions on how to pursue this to get an expedited result. In this case, because I don't know what to do. I've exhausted everything that I know to do. Complain to the PUC, complain to the corporate, argue with Centerpoint's Brazoria County Service Center to no avail. Argue with the Twitter representative to no avail. I mean, I've exhausted all my possibilities. And unfortunately, I mean, there's nobody else I can turn to. I'm at the mercy of a company that chooses not to step it up. That's what it is. They refuse to step it up and get their act together. Well, I can continue ranting, or I can say good day, and I'm thinking I'm just going to call it a day. I don't want to rant anymore. I'm getting tired of this. Thank you. Bye.